Hi, I'm Larry Puckett, the DCC guy. Well, as the title of the video suggests, today I'm going to be pulling out my SB5, getting rid of it, getting rid of all this clutter down here at this end of the modules, and I'm going to be doing a complete reinstallation of all of the components here on the face of the module. So stick around for the video. Hit that little red subscribe button, and when the little bell comes up, click on it and click all. Now, as I said in the opening, what I'm going to be doing today is switching over everything to the Aegis system, and that's going to clear out all of this clutter down at this end of the layout, and it's going to give it a much more professional look because I'm going to have the same types of fascia panels here the entire length of the module. So that's going to really clean things up quite a bit, make it a lot easier to use the layout. Plus, it's going to give me all of the different upgrades that come with the Aegis system for my PowerCab that I've shown you how to install here on the layout over the last few years. But before we do get started with the actual video, I want to give you a little bit of feedback. Now, in the comments to the video I did last week on the overview of the Aegis system, several people suggested that it seemed to be a very expensive system and that they would be able to put together something from all the different components that they could purchase separately. So I went to the NCE website, opened their current price list, and added up what it would cost you to put together all the components to create a comparable system to what the Aegis system here offers you. So let's take a look at a table that I put together with those costs. Now, if you're not interested in that cost comparison, I will put a timestamp right here at the bottom of the video screen for you so that you can jump ahead to where I start doing some cutting here on the layout and getting rid of some things and installing some new things. So let's go ahead and take a look at that table. So as I said, I went to the NCE website and started calculating what it would cost to buy all the individual components to create a system comparable to what you get with Aegis. So the first item you see there, the SB5, is the Smart Booster 5. It's a 5-amp booster that is made specifically for use with the PowerCab. And you can see their current price is $300. The next item in line is the RB02, which is their wireless base station for use with the various NCE DCC systems, and that comes in at $210. Then you have to send in your PowerCab to them and have it upgraded. That's going to cost you $106, and they will install the transmitter receiver components that you need to communicate with the base station and your PowerCab system. Next in line is the EB1 circuit breaker that they recommend for use with this system, and that comes in at $40. Finally, the lanyard system, and that's being offered by DCC Concepts as a separate item. It comes in at $32. So the total for all of that is $688. And let me remind you, at this point, that does not include shipping and handling. Currently, Iron Planet Hobbies is offering the Aegis system for $437, and that's for the pre-order to be delivered after the 1st of January. And that includes shipping and handling because for any orders over $100, it's free for you. So as you can see, the net difference is about $251. And that, as I said, does not include the cost of shipping and handling for all of this stuff. So I'm certain that the total for this with shipping and handling is going to creep up over $700. So as you can see, you can save a considerable amount of money by buying the Aegis system compared to piecing all this together to get something comparable. And let me point out, you still wouldn't have programming capability on your layout because the SB5 does not support programming. You could, however, use the original power panel setup that came with your PowerCab, and you could create a programming track somewhere off of the layout. So in reality, it really is difficult to come up with a system that is comparable to what you're going to get with Aegis. I'm going to begin right here by replacing this NCE cab panel or throttle panel with the alpha meter. And the reason that I'm going to start with this one right here is because I've already got a hole that will serve as the starting point for mounting this one. And then once this one is mounted, it will control the height of all the others, because I want these to all be at approximately the same level, so it'll look like a nice professional finish here. And in order to make sure I get the correct cutout for the electrical circuit board on the rear, I've made a template to serve to outline the area that I'm going to cut. So I get that perfect, hopefully. And to make it easier to work here and to cut with my jigsaw, I've taken the screws out of my shelf and I'm going to get it out of here. So I've got my Black & Decker drill and it's time to take some screws out. And I've already disconnected the wires behind it, so it should slide out fairly easily. There. So the next step is to outline this area here that I need to cut out. Okay, I've got my template, a pencil, and a level to make sure that I get this cut level. So I'm going to place my template here and over top of the existing opening. And keep in mind that I've got to cut it out to fit right over that opening as best I can, because that's going to be the starting point for this hole. So we'll get that in there and make sure that it's level. Okay, so I'm going to hold that and outline it with my pencil. Okay, so this is the area that I'm going to be cutting out with my jigsaw. Okay, so I'm ready to start cutting. I've got it outlined. But before I do that, I've got some painter's tape that I'm going to apply around the sides so that my jigsaw doesn't damage the faceplate here, because I went to a lot of work to put this in and get it painted, and I don't want to mess it up. And by using this blue painter's tape, it's a low tack, so when I pull it off, it won't hopefully pull off the paint with it. Okay, so now I've got everything laid out and protected. It's time to start with the jigsaw. I'm going to be looking at the back of my head a little bit. Sorry about that. I'll try to stay out of the way as much as possible. Okay, the next thing I have to do is I have to drill a couple of starter holes in these locations. Okay, I'm back with my drill bit, so let's put a couple of holes here for starters. And back with the jigsaw. Okay, and we've got a cutout ready for mounting the alpha meter. Okay, I've got a little bit of a ledge right here that's sticking out that I need to take off. And now we'll see if that did the trick. Okay, there it is, ready to be mounted. So now I can pull off the tape and we'll do a reveal. See how much damage I did. Okay, nothing that the faceplate won't cover. Do a check one more time to make sure we do cover everything. And there we are. So that's going to sit right there. And I'll make sure I get it level before I drill the holes. So let me go ahead and we'll install this. Now on the back of the meter, it's labeled input side and the output side. And it's got these mounting clips here for making the connection. And I've already installed the connection to the DCC power bus here. So it's a simple matter to just plug this in like that, and it's ready to be installed. Now once I get the Aegis system installed over here, I'll be able to run a wire from it and make the same type of connection on the input side here. So now I've got to get my screws out and we'll do some mounting. Okay, to get started, I'm going to mount it back in the opening, and I'm going to drill my first hole right here. And that's going to serve as the pilot hole for my Phillips head screw that came with the meter. There. Next, I want to make sure this is level. And right there, we've got it. And I'll add another screw to lock it in at that spot. Now I'll go ahead and drill the other two holes. And finally, take off the protective plastic cover. So we'll be able to read the voltage and the amperage going out onto the DCC power bus. Okay, to make sure everything is level, I'm going to put my ruler, put my yardstick here underneath of the bottom of this one, and I'm going to go over here and mark it on the fascia so that I've got a starting point. And then I know that the inside point here is exactly 5 millimeters up from this point. So I'll come in 5 millimeters and mark here. Now I've already marked it, and that will be the outside. Now you probably can't see this, but I've already made a mark. And then I'll take my template for the Aegis system circuit board and place it right on those. And we'll outline it. Okay, so now I have an outline that I can cut. But the first thing I have to do is drill my pilot holes for starters. And since doing all this drilling and cutting generates a lot of dust here in the model railroad, I've got my shop vac ready to go. So I'm going to turn the shop vac on and make a lot of noise now. Now these will allow me to insert my jigsaw blade here and cut up and cut that way, cut this way and cut this way. So let's go ahead and outline it with the painter's tape so that I don't get any more damage over here. Once again, I'm going to turn the shop vac on and make a lot of noise and dust. Well, as fate would have it, I ran into a screw right here that came down from above, and it was one of the screws that holds the plywood in place on top of the side piece here. So that took about an hour to get that sucker out of there. It chewed up my jigsaw blade before I realized what I had hit, and then I had to go at it with a standard hacksaw blade. So hopefully I won't find any more on this side. So let's finish off cutting the hole. Okay, so that finishes the cutout. Now let's see if it's going to fit. It slides right in here. There are a couple of dings here around the edges, but the faceplate will cover those. So let me insert it carefully in here. And I'll go ahead and start drilling some pilot holes for the screws. Okay, we've got the pilot holes. Let's get the screws in. Okay, so that's it for the installation of the Aegis and for the alpha meter to go with it. Let's see how good of a job I did at matching them up. Well, it looks pretty darn close to me. I got lucky this time. Well, at this point, I've got the Aegis system installed over here. You can't see it. I've got the alpha meter here, and I'm going to put the alpha panel right here so that we'll have at least two places where wired throttles can plug in on this module, and I have another old NCE panel on the other module. So I think this will be a good spot to put it. So I'm going to hold the yardstick up to the bottom of the alpha meter and then just mark a line here somewhere to serve as the baseline. Then I've got another template that I made, and I measured, and it has to come up 10 millimeters from the baseline here. So that's the next job. Put it here, measure up 10 millimeters, and we got it there. So now I'm going to hold it firmly and trace the outline for the cutout. Okay. So that gives me a good rectangle to cut to. I'm going to check one more time and make sure it's perfectly level. And it is. So at this point I'm going to take my drill and drill the pilot holes for inserting the jigsaw blade so I can start cutting. I decided to use 4 holes, one on each corner for the cutout. Okay, hopefully this will be the final cut. Whew. Okay, so we got the final cutout. And this is what's going in here, the alpha panel. Next I want to center this up, get it leveled out relative to the others, and get the pilot holes drilled. So I'm going to start right here with a pilot hole. Okay, and measure it one more time, get it level. Okay, that's level. Okay, so that gets that done. And next, I'm going to make the connection underneath. So I need to get my iPhone so I can take you underneath of the layout and show you all of that. So this is the Aegis system right here. And the first thing I'm going to do is, let's plug in the wire that goes out to the throttle panel on the fascia. So that's in there. I've got my barrel plug here from the power supply, so got that powered up. And let's see, I've got another cable here that goes from the power output terminals. I'll plug that in here. And That one's going to go right here into the input socket on the alpha meter. Then this wire here that I'm dangling connects to the main power bus, so I'm going to plug it in to the output side of the alpha meter. So that way we've got input from the Aegis system into the alpha meter, comes out this side and goes to the DCC power bus. Now this is the connection that will eventually go to the programming track. However, at this point, I have not isolated that programming track. So I need to do some cuts up above and install this, and then it'll be ready to go. So we'll take care of that in another video. Right here is the back of the alpha panel, and all I need to do now is connect it up to the Aegis system, and we'll have connections for a wired set of throttles there. And I'll be able to connect another wire like this or another cable to additional panels further down the fascia. So that's all it is. Let's give it a try. Okay, so here we are. It's all back together again. And I have my shelf back in place again. And note, I painted them finally. So they look just like the fascia, blend right in well. Now, at this point, we've got the Aegis system here. We've got the alpha meter here. And I've got the alpha panel down here. And I've already plugged a cab 06 into it. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in the NCE PowerCab. And let's turn it on and see if it fires up. Well, we got power. The lights came on. The RS11 came on. It says we've got 14.1 volts on the truck now, and it's pulling 0.1 amps, or about 100 milliamps. Over here, we've got a little blue light on the alpha panel indicating it's seeing DCC, and we've got the 3 lights here indicating we've got a connection. So let's see how it works. Well, we've got a good horn. I'd run him out onto the other tracks, but since I don't have it connected to the other module, I don't have a way to do that. But at any rate, you can see it's working. We've got everything working fine. I'm going to plug it into the wireless transmitter and turn that on and see if we get a connection. Okay, you can see it's gone blue, that's gone blue, that's gone blue, and it's not blinking, so that means we're working. So let me bring up locomotive 11 on my PowerCab, and we'll see what it does. So now I'm operating totally wirelessly with the PowerCab here on my modules. So that's how easy it is to install the Aegis system in the fascia of your layout, and also to install an alpha meter and the alpha panel to give it a nice family look here. Very professional looking, I think. Have them all there, all lined up. And none of these components sitting out here on the shelf like I previously had it all cluttered looking. In the next video, we're going to be taking a look at how to set up a programming track using the Aegis system. So come on back for another look at how you can use Aegis with your PowerCab on your model railroad. In the meantime, have a great weekend, have a great week, and I'll see you here next week with that video on programming tracks at the DCC Guide. Bye now.